I think you can see the screen. Background. So we are based today. We are going to discuss constitutional provision related to public finance. Basically, regulatory matters, legislations in respect of public finance. So background. We are starting the discussion with three constitutions, that is 97-8 constitution, 1972 constitutions, and also Salisbury constitutions. So far we really had three constitutions. If you take 1978 constitutions, chapter 17 talk about the finance aspect. There are different chapters in the constitutions. Chapter 12, 1972 talks about the finance. Likewise, even Salisbury constitutions, chapter 8 talks about, finance. Anyway, whatever the constitutions, all, administrations in Ceylon of Sri Lanka or in Ceylon has taken the matter of controlling finance, seriously. So thereby, they have provide, provisions considered, and the different sections with regard to the public finance. But remember, all these 1972 and the Salisbury constitutions are outdated. So we focus on 1978 constitutions. I think this is really brought in Mr. J.R. Jayawardena's period. He is the one who really, uh, make these constitutions just to, match the constitution with open economy policy also. But anyway, the legal framework for government. So thereby we are focusing on this 1978 constitutions, not the others. Even 1978 constitution, we have uh, different amendments. For example, 13th amendment, 17th amendment, 19th amendment. Those are 13th, 17th, 19th. Those amendments are relevant for us when we discuss the public finance. We will discuss that part also a little bit. The legal framework for government finance. These slides, of course, I'm just bringing the legal aspects which are related to government finance. First one, as I already explained, the Constitution of 1978, there is a particular chapter. Then, of course, Finance Act number 38 of 1971. Sri Lanka Accounting and Auditing Standards Act number 15 of 1995. This is applicable for corporations, water board, electricity board. So the business state-owned enterprises which are in commercial oriented. So this particular legislation is applicable. Then Fiscal Management Act number 3 of 2003. It's a new act. We will discuss very briefly what it is. Then Annual Appropriation Acts, basically the budget. Then the National Audit Acts of 2018, the latest, the new act for audit functions of the public sector, Auditor Generals. Then financial regulations promulgated by the Ministry of Finance. That means from time to time, Ministry of Finance issuing different circulars with regard to public finance, depending on the countries. For example, economic situation, maybe in disaster situation, etc. What we will do is basically today we are going to discuss this legal framework, legal matters, but we are going to discuss only matters which are related to public finance, not others. When you take particular act or the constitution, there are different matters, different sections, different areas, but we will be discussing only the finance matters. Okay, then the constitutional provisions. Now we are talking about the 1978 constitutions. That's why it says constitutional provisions. The provisions, when you take the constitution of Sri Lanka, section, or we call it articles, instead of section, we call article 148 to 154 for the subject of finance. 148, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54. But 53 and 54, of course, with regard to the Order General, which I am not going to discuss. I will be discussing those parts in later, not in this. I will discuss that under the Order General's roles and the functions. But basically, there are articles from 148 to 154. When you take 148 article, that is the section in normal. When you say Companies Act, we call it section, but here we call it article. 148, that Parliament shall have full control over public finance. For example, no tax or any other income, any levy, any other levy shall be imposed by any local authority or any public authority except by the authority of a law passed by Parliament or any existing law. So making kyanne, you can't collect money from the public, whatever the form of taxation, without getting the approval from the government or for a particular existing law. If there is existing law, yes. Otherwise, there should be, it has to be approved by the Parliament. For example, I will say that now you know that pay tax has been already, they have removed it. Instead of that, they have put advance income tax payment or some new version. I think that was proposed once the Parliament. It was not really discussed. That matter was not discussed. The new advance income tax from employees, that was not discussed in the Parliament. So thereby, you can't implement it. Legally, there is an issue if you implement such mechanism. It's not enforceable. So thereby, 148 very clearly says that you can't get money from public if no approval or no law. So as per the 148 section, thereby control, it takes the full control over public finance, full control. Then we will move on to the, there is a case also, the case of Illaperuma versus Government Agent Board. Illaperuma has really made a case against the government that they are not really, they are not in a position to collect the particular income. So I expect you can just search this case, Google it and find out. Just read. I think it's 2 pages. There are 2 pages. It's about 1963, I think 63 or 65, but long. The case is little bit, I would say blown back. Anyway, the case of Illaperuma government make it QA, the government is not responsible. Government has no power to collect the income, said income. Make 16,000 ගානක්ද මොකද්ද ඔහොම ගාන ඉලක්කම් ගානක් තියෙනවා. Better you read it and you can understand just example. Then when it comes to 149, there are two subsection. 149 subsection 1, it says that what do you call, the fund of the republic not allocated by law to specific purposes shall form one consolidated fund into the which shall be paid to produce all taxes, impost, rates, imports, not impost, rates, duties, and all other revenues and receipts of the public not allocated to specific purposes. Here the idea is, whatever the money you collect from the public in terms of tax or in terms of, import duties, rates, whatever, you have to put into one basket. That basket is called consolidated fund. Consolidated fund. Whatever the money you collect from public, from different, sources, different bases, you have to put it to the consolidated funds. But if you collect that money for a specific purpose, but මතක ඇති රණ යුද්ධ කාලේ we had a different purpose නේද රණවීරි අරමුදල්, for that, yes, of course, otherwise not allowed. එතකොට ඒවා special purpose එකක් වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒවා you have to get the approval from the parliament and it has to be a separate guideline. Otherwise, generally all the funds to the consolidated fund, that is based on 149.1. Then article 149.2, now you know that when you maintain a such fund, there is a maintenance cost. When you maintain any fund, there is a cost. For example, interest on the public debt, sinking fund repayments, cost, charges, and other expenses incidental to the collection. When you collect money, for example, Inland Revenue Department collect money, recover money, so there is a cost. And management and receipts of the consolidated fund, such other expenditure as Parliament may be determined shall be charged to the consolidated fund. So thereby, when you incur any cost incurred in relation to this consolidated fund, that has to be charged to the consolidated fund. But other expenditure, there may be exceptional expenditure, you have to get the parliament approval in the separate section. So I think 148, 49, 1 and 2 very clear. 48 does not allow government to collect or people to collect money from public if there is no law or approval from the parliament. 49, one basket to put that collection, that's called consolidated fund. 149.2 says that certain expenses or special expenses which is approved by parliament can be charged to the consolidated funds. Then we will move on to the next one, that is 150, the withdrawal of sums from the consolidated. Now when you look at this, 151 save the otherwise expressly provided in paragraph 3 and 4. We will discuss paragraph 3 and 4, paragraph again subsection 3 and 4 of 150 of this article. No sum shall be withdrawn from the council except under the authority of warrant under the hand of the minister in charge of the subject finance. So if you are going to get money from this fund, you have to get the recommendations from the subject minister in charge of the subject of finance, that is finance minister. Article 2, that is section 151. If you want to get money out of these consolidated funds, that has to be approved by the Minister Finance. 50, section 2, no such warrant shall be issued unless the sum has resolutions of Parliament or by any law being granted for specific public service for financial year during which withdrawal is taken place or is otherwise lawfully charged on the consolidated fund. No such warrant shall be issued unless what a පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ අනුමැතියක් තියෙන්න ඕන කියන එක තමයි මේකෙන් කියන්නේ. No such warrant shall be issued unless the sum has been, ඒ කියන්නේ මුදල resolution of parliament by the law has been, if there's a specific law, of course yes, otherwise resolution of parliament. ඒක නිසා තමයි ඔබ තේරෙනවා ඇති, you know that each and every year we talk about the government budget. So thereby that is the appropriation bill, that through that only we can take money out of this consolidated fund. Article number 3, President dissolves Parliament. Then අපේ මේ සිද්ධිය, nowadays we are facing this situation. The President dissolved the Parliament before the appropriation bill, ඒ කියන්නේ අයවැයක් සම්මත වෙන්න කලින්. දැන් ඇත්තටම පාර්ලිමේන්තුව විසිරුවා හරින්න කලින් අපි මාස 3කට අතුරු සම්මත ගෙනුමක් දාගත්තා නම් හරි fully අයවැයක් තිබ්බේ නම් හරි ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. නමුත් දැන් if there is no such approval, right, Parliament shall have already made provision. ඒ කියන්නේ එම approval එකක් තියෙනවා නම් of course yes, the expenditure of sum has he may consider necessary for the public service until the expiry of a period of 3 months from the date on which new parliament is summoned to meet. එතකොට එහෙම එකක් නැත්තම් already, then unless parliament shall have already made a provision, ඒ කියන්නේ එහෙම authorization එකක් පාර්ලිමේන්තුවෙන් අරන් නැත්තම් පාර්ලිමේන්තුව විසිරුණකොට at the time you dissolve the parliament, the president has the power, Sri Lankan president has the power to get money out of this consolidated funds for 3 months. May consider necessary for the public service until the expiry period of 3 months from the date on which the new parliament is summoned to meet. ඒ කියන්නේ අලුත් පාර්ලිමේන්තුව කැඳවන දින දක්වා මාස 3කට සල්ලි ගන්න පුළුවන් යාට. නේද? එතකොට පාර්ලිමේන්තුවක් ඉස්සරලා මාස 3කට කලින් ඡන්දයක් තියන්න ඕනේ කියන ලොජික් එක ඔකයි කියන්නේ. ඡන්දයක් විතර නෙවෙයි, ඡන්දේ තියලා පාර්ලිමේන්තු එක්ක කැඳවන්න ඕනේ මාස 3ක් යනවා. නේද? අර පහුගිය දවස්වල කොමසාරිස්, ඡන්ද කොමසාරිස්, election commission and the government, and the politician, I think, talk about this. Of course, now the story is different. Now already 3 months has gone. Then the other story, where the president dissolve parliament and fix a date or dates for general elections. If president really fix dates, president බැරි නම් මොකක් හරි හේතුවක් නිසා එතකොට election commission එක date fix කරනවා නම් you need money for the election. If money is not really parliament at the time you dissolve the parliament, if that is not approved by the parliament, unless parliament has already made a provision in that on that behalf, කරලා නැත්තම් president has the power of releasing money for the election. Commission elections, after consultation with the commission of election, consider necessary for such election. ඒකට අවශ්‍ය අයවැය සල්ලි ටික president දෙන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට පාර්ලිමේන්තුවක් ඉසුරු කරනකොට ඉලෙක්ෂන් එකට සල්ලි පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ අනුමත වුණාට කමක් නැහැ. ආටිකල් සෙක්ෂන් 4 එක යටතේ සල්ලි ගන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට දැන් කියන්න කාරණේ පැහැදිලි. 151 වලින් කියනවා මිනිස්ටර්ගේ ෆයිනෑන්ස් මිනිස්ටර්ගේ අනුමැතිය ඕන. හැබැයි මොන වුණත් කොන්සොලිඩේෂන් ෆන්ඩ් එකෙන් සල්ලි ගන්න නම් පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ අනුමත වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒතර අනුමත වෙලා ආවට පස්සේ මිනිස්ටර් තමයි ෆයිනෑන්ස් මිනිස්ටර් තමයි මේ මිනිස්ට්‍රීස් වලට කොන්සොලිඩේෂන් එකෙන් සල්ලි රිලීස් කරන්නේ. ඒකනේ මේ කියන්නේ. හැබැයි there are two exceptions. Exception තියෙන කොහෙද? 150 වල 3 and 4. 150 වල 3 and 4 වල කියනවා for the until you get the next election within 3 months period, president has the power of getting money without considering 151 and 152. There's no problem, he can get it. Neither එම සල්ලි වෙන් කරලා නැත්තම්. And also same thing for the election also he can get money if that is not already approved, if there is no resolution already at the time you dissolve the parliament. Is it clear? So thereby 150 is basically the withdrawal of sum from the consolidated fund. Nikan ganna bæ. So far what I explained, the collection is really one basket. You put all the collection into consolidated funds, but when you are taking money out of this basket, there are certain rules. That guidelines is explained, given in 150 section of the article under 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So to get money, minister approval, finance minister approval, before that parliament approval is required. But there are two exceptional cases when the parliament has dissolved and there is no particular resolution for next 3-4 months operation. If that is the case, president has the power until at the time you summon the next parliament, you can get money, but the period is dissolution point and the next parliament point 3 months. The other article is election. Article 4 says that election expenses also really can be taken, or the withdrawal can be done by the president for the election expenses. I think it's clear. What is clear? 148 really says the control. 149 says where to put the money. 149 section 1. 142 says that what kind of expenses really charge to the particular consolidated fund. 150 withdrawal, but there are 4 sections. I explained those 4 sections. Then we will come to the 151 contingencies fund. You will see the consolidated fund is I would say rigid. It is you can't get money out of that. That means you can't withdraw the money the way you think. So there are certain procedures, there are certain conditions. 150 section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4. Otherwise you can't get. But in different situations, different countries face different disasters. Maybe political disasters, maybe social disasters, maybe economic disasters, health disasters like COVID. So if in such situation, those expenses are not really passed by the parliament, because we didn't expect such a situation. So thereby, to pay such uncertain, unexpected things, Article 151 allows government, Sri Lankan governments to develop or the establish a contingency or the contingencies fund. We'll see what it is. 151 of the Constitution makes provision for Parliament to create a contingencies fund to provide the urgent and unforeseen expenditure. You can understand the word urgent and unforeseen. The expenditures which has not been really forecasted, seen. Neither. ඒවා වගේ ඉන්නේ unusual cases වලටනේ. Right. දැන් උදාහරණයක් වශයෙන් අර COVID වලට රුපියල් 5000 දීපු එක you can't pay out of the consolidated fund. If there is a contingencies fund, of course yes. Of course yes. Samurdhi Aramudula, I don't think it's a contingencies fund. But I think money has been taken from that fund with the expectation of, I think, replacing. Okay. Article 151, the 51 is clear, contingent, but section 1, any provisions notwithstanding any of the provisions, Article 149, Parliament may by law create a contingencies fund for the purpose of providing urgent and unforeseen expenditure. But this fund also, this contingencies fund also has to be really passed, created by Parliament. Article 51, Section 2, Minister in charge of the subject finance, if satisfied, that there is need for any such expenditure, that no provision for such exceeds may, with the consents of the President, authorize provision to be made therefore by an advance for and from the contingencies fund. What happened is, subject minister තමයි මේක කරන්නේ. There is a need for any such expenditure, no provisions in the consolidated fund. අවශ්‍යතාවය මතු කරනවා, no provision. But even the minister feel that or the satisfied that there is no such expenditure in the normal budget, consolidated funds, and it is required, but he or she has to get the consent from the President. Authorize provision to be made therefore by advance from the contingencies. මොකද වෙන්නේ? ඒතර අපි తాවකාලික contingencies fund එකෙන් president මේ ගැන කියලා රුපියල් 100ද 200ද 300ද 400ද මිලියන 1000ද 2000 3000ද ටක් ගාලා අපි අවශ්‍යතාවයට ගන්නවා finance ministry. But what happened is, so we will again replace the money taken from the contingencies fund by getting money from the consolidated fund later on. Later on, මේ සිද්ධිය පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ දාලා අනුමත කරගෙන අපි replace කරමු. Article 151(3), as soon as possible, just like our petty cash, not similar to the petty cash, but mechanism is almost similar to the petty cash. නේද? petty cash වලට වියදම් වෙන සල්ලි ටික අපි කොහොම හරි reimburse කරලා ආයි petty cash box එකට දානවනේ පස්සේ. ලොකු චෙක් එකක් ලියලා නේද? ඒතර petty cash expenses lower level employees අනුමත කරනවා නේද? Similar to petty cash, I think this, but don't misunderstand, it is 100% similar to the petty cash, but mechanism is much more similar. 151(3), as soon as possible after every such advance, supplementary estimate shall be presented to Parliament for the purpose of replacing on. එතකොට 151 වලින් ෆන්ඩ් එක ඇති කරනවා. 151 වලින් කියන මේක ලීගලයිස් වෙන්න ඕන. මෙහෙම ෆන්ඩ් එකක් නිකන් හිතුමතේට ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න බෑ. පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ කලින් අනුමත කරලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට ඒකෙන් සල්ලි ගන්න පුළුවන් ෆිනෑන්ස් මිනිස්ටර්ටයි ප්‍රෙසිඩන්ට්ටයි සාකච්ඡා කරලා අවශ්‍යතාවය මත. Once you you know මේක ඉවරුණාට පස්සේ අපි නිවිහැනේල්ලේ සප්ලිමෙන්ටරි එකක් එස්ටිමේට් ටික දාලා පාර්ලිමේන්තුවෙන් අරගෙන, ඒ කියන්නේ ෆන්ඩ් එස්ටැබ්ලිෂ්, So you put that to the parliament and get the approval and get the money from the consolidated fund and just replace that money which has been spent for the special case, like petty cash. I think that is clear. 151. So I explain 148, 149, 150 and 151. Then the president as the effective head of that means, you know, that when you take the university, chief financing officer, CFO, is the vice chancellor. When you take the government ministry, say education ministry, secretary is the chief finance officer. The responsible guy for finance is the secretary. If you take the Inland Revenue Department, Commissioner General would be the chief finance officer. Likewise, if you take the Sri Lanka, the state, the country, the government, the head of finance, or the, in our technical word, CFO, is the president of the country. President is the head of state and head of finance, something like that. While these provisions ensure, while these provisions ensure the parliament maintaining vigilance over the public expending, it must be stressed that is the president who has the effective head of states, though the cabinet ministries ultimately decide the manner in which public money is expended. මේවා වියදම් කරන්නේ ආකාරය different ministers, respective ministers decide කරාට, but ultimate, you know, the core responsibility with the president. ඒ නිසා තමයි මේ 152 තියෙන්නේ. අන්න ඒකයි මට highlight කරන්න ඕනේ. Article 152, no bills or motion authorize the disposal or imposition of charge upon the consolidated funds or other funds of the republic, imposition of any tax, the repeal, augmentation, reduction of any tax for the time being imposed shall be introduced in parliament, expected by a minister, unless such bill or motion has been approved either by the cabinet minister or in such manner as the cabinet minister may authorize. What do you mean by this? Meaning is that 152 really says that the existing taxes, whatever the things, you can't remove. If you want to remove it or the, you know, change it, you have to get the approval. Cabinet minister in such manner as the cabinet ministers may authorize. ඒක cabinet paper එක අරහා ගිහිල්ලා තමයි වෙනස් වෙන්න ඕන පාර්ලිමේන්තුව. Okay. Thus, it is the executive government which decides how to exercise the spending power which parliament has conferred upon it. Even though parliament approved, මේ තීරණ ඔක්කොම ටික ගන්න ඇත්තටම කියනවා නම් president එක්ක ඉන්න cabinet එක. සරලව කියනවා. So thereby that team is crucial. ඒකට කියනවා අපි ඉතාමත් වැදගත් වචනයක්. මම හිතන්නේ ඒක පොඩ්ඩක් මතක තියාගත්තොත් හොඳයි. ඒකට කියනවා executive government. Executives, දැන් මෙතන අපි සමානලාට government කියන වචනේ කියන්නේ તો executives කියලා කියන බහුවචනේ. Executive government or executives means president and the cabinet. That you have to remember. Executive government or the executives means විධායක කියනකොට executive governments කියනකොට we mean that what do you call the president and the cabinet executive. Is it okay? Right. Then I just want to talk little bit about I think I discussed this. Then control over public expenditure, the Auditor General. But I'm not going to discuss this Auditor General's functions or the role or the responsibility in detail because we have a different session. But just to link the Auditor General role here for the constitutions. Now, all the public expenditure, what do you call control, monitored or checked or investigated by the Auditor General. That is really power given uh, from 153 and 154. But remember, I am not going to discuss this one in detail. So thereby, the power to audit public sector entities, whatever the public sector entities, whether it's corporation or ministries or department, the Auditor General will get the power through Article 153 and 154. So it talks about the duties and functions of this key post. The auditing function has been recently further strengthened by the establishment of Audit Service Commission. Audit Service Commission කියලා එකක් දාලා තියෙනවා. Sri Lanka Accounting Standard Committee වගේ. Committee, Election Commission එක වගේ. There is a particular board called Audit Service Commission. I will explain what it is next. By way of National Audit Act 19 of 2018. The act එකෙන් තමයි මේගොල්ල බලගන්නේ, but constitution එකෙනුත් මේක power එක දෙනවා. Then I would like, that is about the Auditor General. So what I want to communicate to you is that Auditor General is responsible for, you know, controlling over public expenditure, and also uh, 153, 154 of the Constitution provide the setting up and duties and function of the key post. So the Audit Service Commission also, right? Then 13th Amendment to the Constitution in 1987, I think I am correct. 13 amendments Constitution එක එනවා. මේක එන්නේ ඇත්තටම ඔයගලන්ට මතක ඇති පළාත් සභා. පළාත් සභාවත් එක්ක තමයි මේක එන්නේ. විශේෂයෙන් මේ පළාත් සභාවලට මේ සල්ලි වෙන් කරන්න ඒක ෆයිනෑන්ස් කොමිෂන් ප්‍රාදේශීය වශයෙන් දියුණු කරන්න තමයි මේ ෆයිනෑන්ස් කොමිෂන් to the constitution under the article 154 මේ R කියන revision කියන එක වෙන්නේ නැති. එතකොට කලින් අර 154 එකේ අපි කතා කර එකට revision එකක් එනවා. Has been set up in terms of article 154R4 is the duty of finance commission to make recommendation to the presidents. පළාත් වලට අර මුදල් වෙන් කරන්න කොහොමද කියන recommendation එක කරනවා president කවුද? Finance commission. එතකොට ඒක දානවා. So that will include, that allocation will include in the government budget. ඒක තමයි finance පැත්තෙන් වෙනස when you consider 13 amendment. There are different changes, but I just focus on the finance aspect. The principle on which such funds are granted annually by the government for the provinces should be appointed between the various provinces. Any other matters referred to the commission by the president related to the provincial finance. මේකට සල්ලි වෙන් වෙනවා. නමුත් සමහරවිට කොමිෂන් එකට ප්‍රෙසිඩන්ට්ගේ ඉල්ලීම් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒවා සලකා බලලා තමයි මේවා මේ කොමිෂන් එක නිර්දේශ කරන්නේ ෆයිනෑන්ස් කොමිෂන්. As provided in the Article 154R5, the Finance Commission has to formulate such principles with the objective of achieving balanced regional development in the country, having taken into account the matters set out therein. The President is also required to take actions to lay before the Parliament every recommendation made by the Commission, and moreover, the President has to notify the Parliament as to the action taken thereof. I would like to make this idea a little bit simple. Now, you know, when you're having a group of companies, you may have different subsidiaries. And, you know, when you have subsidiaries, the headquarters or the group will, board of the group which is related to the group, the board which is related to the group of company will allocate funds among different subsidiaries. Nathan. So likewise, here finance commission is really a fund allocation mechanism. Finance commission act as a fund allocation commission to different provinces, but with the recommendation, with the help, and you know, with the support of president. So thereby, finance commission has to consider their objective has to be much more goal congruence. Your objective has to be much more clear. The objective has to be really to develop region. Here it says achieving the balanced regional development. Balanced regional development කියලා කියන්නේ you have to allocate the money for different provinces according to their requirement, not based on your political agenda, not based on your not to develop your vote base. දැන් අපි දන්නවා මේවා ඇත්තටම සමහර දිස්ත්‍රික්ක වලට සමහර ප්‍රදේශ වලට වැඩියෙන් සල්ලි යනවා. ඒවා එතකොට එතන fund allocation mechanism එක, the finance commission is not independent. Nathan. So thereby, I think 13th amendment, the crucial amendment is finance commission. Is it clear? Right. Then we will come to the 19th amendment to the constitution in 2015, and 17 one also will discuss little. Article had been firstly amended by the 17th amendment to the constitution, again amended by the 19th constitution. According to the 19th amendment, been paragraph and blah, blah, subparagraph. මේකදී ඇත්තටම මේ constitution මෙතනදී amendment දෙකක් තියෙනවානේ, 17th and 19th, but I have given the heading as 19th amendment. මෙතන 17th වලින් කරන්නේ අර, can you remember the other they are creating a constitutional council represent a council එකට, constitutional council එකට major communities වලින් 3 දෙනෙක් ඇතුල් කරන එක මේකේ කරනවා. එතකොට finance commission is really representing different you know, diverse people, major communities really, maybe what do you call the Tamil, maybe Sinhala, maybe you know Muslim, likewise. Then we'll come talk about under 19th amendment constitutions, 2015 articles 153 and have been amended. Moreover, following new articles have been inserted immediately after the article 150 affect the articles, blah, blah. So what happened was, in 19th amendment there were many changes, but finance related changes I will be discussing with you. 153 and 154. 153 වල මොකක්ද කරේ? So there are different you know matters. Those are labeled as 153A, 153B, 153C, likewise up to H. So we will discuss what are those. What are those? 19th amendment to the constitution in 2015, major amendment with regard to public finances, audit service commission. What is that? Audit service commission. එතකොට Just to remind you, 13 amendment, the finance related matter is Finance Commission. 17 amendment is Constitution Council, adding another 3 members from different communities, major communities. Neither. Right. The 2015-19 amendment, which is related to the finance matter, public finance matter, is Audit Service Commission. Are you clear the 3 points? Right. Article 153, I think you can remember I highlighted 53A, B, C, D, E, F. Likewise, I highlighted different things. I will discuss very briefly, not in details. 153A, Constitution of the Audit Service Commission. That is the establishment of Audit Service Commission. Article 153, Meeting of the Commission. Meeting එකක් තියෙනවා නම් කොහොමද කියන්න ඕන කාරණා. Meeting. හමු වෙන සමාජික හමු වෙන එක. Article 153C, Powers and Functions of the Commission. අතර මේ Audit Service Commission කියන එක ඇත්තටම තියෙන්නේ සරල භාෂාවෙන් කියනවා, you know, Auditor General Department. In the Auditor General Department, there are employees. Basically, you have audit examiners and audit superintendent. Audit examiner is the audit, like, you know, technician. Audit technician is the audit examiner. Then maybe 12-10 audit examiners, then audit superintendent. If you go to any government department, any government corporation, you will get an external auditor. External auditor means government department. You will have a branch there. If you go to Inland Revenue Department, there is an external audit department, not the internal, external. If you go to the Electricity Board, yes. If you go to the Education Department, you will have an external auditor or the external audit department. There you have the audit examiners and one audit superintendent. Then you have Deputy Auditor General and different posts, then the Auditor General. What I want to communicate to you is that they will really monitor. They means what? The people, I would say the Audit Service Commission will monitor the Auditor General Department's responsibility and the workload. I think you can remember the Sri Lanka Institute of Chartered Accountants. You know that to monitor the accounting standard, there are Sri Lanka Accounting Standard Monitoring Board. Likewise, this commission also monitor their service. So thereby, powers and functions of the commission means appointing members to the Auditor General Department, transferring, removing, disciplinary action, whatever. So those human resource matters really handled by the Audit Service Commission. I think if you take the Constitution Audit Service Commission, the chairman is the Auditor General. There are 2 retired Deputy Auditor Generals, 1 lawyer. Likewise, there are 4 or 6 people in this committee, commission. In the election committee, there are 3 people. Likewise, here there are 4 or 6 people. Meeting of the commissions, powers and functions. Then Article 153, influencing and attempting the influence decisions of the commission and officer of the Sri Lanka State Audit Service to be an offence. So, 150D එකේ කියනවා මේ audit service එකේ commission එකේ in the මිනිස්සුන්ට, if you are trying to give bribes, if you are trying to bribe them, if you try to influence them, it's a really offense. It's offense. It's an offense if you try to influence them. That means what I want to communicate to you is that under 19th amendment to the constitution in 2015, audit service commission is an independent body. It's an independent body to monitor, look after the auditor general's functions and the response, the department work, audit aspects, control aspect of the finance, control aspect of the public expenditure. They will look after that. So ඒගොල්ලන්ට මුකුත් කරන්න අල්ලස් දෙන්න ඉන්ෆ්ලුවන්ස් කරන්න බෑ මේ 3D 153D අන්න එක ඔෆෙන්ස් එක. Immunity from legal proceedings මේගොල්ලන්ට විරුද්ධව legal action ගන්න බෑ. That's the another case. 153E. Then cost and expenses. දැන් උදාහරණයක් වශයෙන් ඔබ දකින්න ඇති මම හිතන්නේ election commission එකටත් ඒකමයි තියෙන්නේ. කවුරුත් election commission එකට විරුද්ධව උසාවි ගියේ නැහැ. දැන් උදාහරණයක් වශයෙන් ඡන්දය ඩිලේ කරා හරි මොනවා හරි හේතුවක් දාලා election commission එකට විරුද්ධව one can go, but I think by law it has been protected. Likewise in audit service commission also there is a protection, but I'll come to that later. 153F, cost and expenses. So there are cost and expenses which has to be incurred by consolidated fund. මේකට යන පිරිවැයන් ඔක්කොම consolidated fund එකෙන් දරන. ඒක කියන්නේ F වලින්. ඊළඟට මම අන්න එකයි කියන්න ගියේ. දැන් මේ නීතිමය වශයෙන් court එකකට යන්න බැරුණත් ඒගොල්ලන්ට against if there is a person, innocent person, that innocent person can appeal. There is an appeal board which is called Administrative Appeal Tribunal. Administrative Appeal Tribunal. A tribunal එකට යන්න පුළුවන් කාටද innocent. There is a, so say I am working in the auditor general department. I transferred to somewhere say Jaffna. It's not reasonable. I have been working in Vaunia last 5 years. So I am trying. I just came to Colombo. Now I spend only 2 months in Colombo, and then again asking me to go to Jaffna. So you can really appeal to you can make an appeal to this committee, but you can't go against the audit service commission to the court. Is it clear? Then commission to be answerable to parliament. They are reporting not to the anyone else, but they are reporting to the parliament. Is it clear? They are reporting to the parliament. Okay. Then 19th Amendment Constitution 2000 Audit Service. That's I have explained you all these sections, articles. Then Parliament functions. I just want to briefly explain the function of the Parliament. The transparency and accountability in terms of public expenditure. The main objective, main role of the Parliament is to ensure the transparency and accountability in terms of public expenditure. You know the meaning of transparency, you know the meaning of accountability. So thereby, Parliament's objective functions with regard to public finance is to ensure the transparency and accountability in terms of public expenditure. There are, when you try to achieve this objective, when you are trying to ensure the transparency and accountability in terms of public expenditure, there are 3 stages. Allocation of funds in the annual budget, that has to be done. So you have to get the funds. You have to get it approved by the parliament. Allocation of funds. You know that there is a process. We will discuss under the budgeting heading, the process. Then there is a scrutiny by the members of the parliament at the stage of ministerial consultative committees and questioning from the relevant ministries in the at the questioning time house. නේද? ඒ කියන්නේ මෙතෙන්දි කරන්නේ අර පළවෙනි වර කියවීම දෙවෙනි වර කියවලා මිනිස්සු ප්‍රශ්න අහලා ක්වෙස්චන් කරලා වැඩිද කියලා මදිද කියලා ඒක තමයි මේක there is a discussion going on in the parliament that itself part of ensuring transparency and accountability. අය කියවීම ඉදිරිපත් කිරීම argument කිරීම budget debates, all these are coming under the second part. Third one is re-scrutiny of expenditure at the parliament, a permanent select committee of public account. So අපි එකපාරක් අපි check කරාට පස්සේ ආයි re-scrutiny කරනවා. නේද? අර අපි results ආයි check කරගන්න. ඒ වගේ අපිට committee දෙකක් තියෙනවා. ඒ committee දෙක මම හිතන්නේ ඔබට මතක ඇති එකක් නම් TAC කියලා කියන්නේ Committee on Public Accounts. අනිත් එක ඔබට හොඳට මතකයි Committee on Public Enterprises. Committee on Public Account is for government department and other related institutions. But COPE is for state-owned enterprises, corporation, authority, universities, you know the scope. But these are really Sri Lanka Parliament standing orders 125, 126. You know, harima balagatu, much powerful, I would say, institutions, because those are really permanent select committees, Sri Lankan Parliament standing orders. So 3 stages: allocation money, discussion within the parliament, and questioning from respective ministers. Again, the respective committees has the power of investigating the accounts and operations and the matters. You know that when Committee of Public Accounts and the Committee on Public Enterprises, when they do investigations, they will really focus on Auditor General's report and other reports. So based on those reports, they will really carry out the investigations. Okay. Then the Parliament functions continued. Again, I just want to discuss a little bit. The allocation of funds of a particular ministry shall be made take into consideration expected recurrent capital investment in the ensuing year. It is necessary to prepare all projects, feasibility reports, and evaluation reports before any allocation is made for any project. So there are 2 types of expenses. You know, recurrent expenses; those are really just maintenance type of cost. Capital are really, you know, long-term asset creation related expenses. So those reports has to be prepared, and feasibility they have to discuss. Even the allocation of recurrent shall be made after proper evaluation on the impact of economy. It is the duty of every minister to hold responsibility directly to the parliament about every cent spent by any officer and institution which come within the purview of his or her ministry. Basically, when you have capital investment, there has to be a project report, feasibility report, and evaluation report. But minister has 2 type expenses, capital and the recurrent. But when you say capital, you need reports, project reports. But when you talk about recurrent, those are, you know, annually incurring expenses, but you have to justify. That's why in government sector, public sector, you may heard about, they are talking about participatory budgeting, program budgeting, zero-based budgeting. Even you discuss zero-based budgeting in private sector. But just to ensure that this money spent in an efficient and effective manner, different departments may use different techniques, uh, such as zero-based budgeting, participatory budgeting, etc. So thereby, ultimate objective of implementing such technique is to ensure uh, transparency and accountability. The annual budget has to be passed by Parliament. Budget set out the revenue and the expenditure proposal allocating funds for all programs, projects of the department and state enterprises. Once the budget is approved, the Minister of Finance sanctions withdrawal under the authority of warrant under his hand. I think you can remember this. I discussed with you 100, I think 149. Just go back. 149, I think, yes. What is 149? Not 149, 150. Yes, I'm sorry. Here, can you remember this authority of a warrant under the hand of the minister in charge of the subject finance? I discussed this, but you have to get the parliament approval. But discharge is done by Handa Tiene Ministry of Finance. සරල භාෂාවෙන් කියනවා නම් හැන්ද තියෙන්නේ මුදල් ඇමතිවරයා ගාව තමයි හැන්ද තියෙන්නේ නේද? ඒක නිසා තමයි ඔබට මතක ඇති රවී කරුණානායකයි මං හිතන්නේ මංගලයි පොඩි කොස්සක් ඇති කරගත්තා. There was a conflict, right? And also you can remember there was a conflict between former Auditor General and the Secretary of Ministry. Why? Even though Auditor General is independent, he is responsible for doing investigations in public sector, his salary is given by Ministry of Finance. Not only his salary is decided by the parliament, that's a different story, but his he has a department. We call it Auditor General Department. In the Auditor General Department, there are activities like other organizations. They need money for both recurrent and capital. So thereby now for especially the development projects of the Auditor General Department, Auditor General needs money. So thereby, even though he is independent, he depends on Ministry of Finance to get money. දැන් ඊතර පොඩි conflict එකක් එනවා නේද? So can you understand what I am telling? I think that there was a conflict between Auditor General and the Ministry of Finance. Auditor General really give a adverse opinion. නේද? මිනිස්ට්‍රි එකට මම හිතන්නේ 2000 මට මතක නම් 16 17 අවුල් කියන්නේ වැරදි මොකක්ද ඒකට කියන්නේ adverse opinion එකක් දුන්නා මේ වැරදි කියලා. ඒක පත් වෙලා ගියා ටික කාලයක් පස්සේ ඒක shape වුණා. I don't know what happened later on. Anyway, what I'm trying to say you is that the budget set out once the budget is approved, the Minister of Finance sanctions withdrawal under the authority of a warrant under his hand. වෙදෙන හැන්ද තියෙන්නේ ආගාව. පාර්ලිමේන්තුවෙන් අනුමත වෙලා යනවා තමයි. But hand is divided, distribution, allocation is in the hand of the Minister of Finance. Government agencies can spend monies only after this constitutional procedure is adhered. No tax rate or any other levy can be imposed by any local authority, any other public authority unless authorized by the parliament. නගර සභාවකටවත් මොකකටවත් පළාත් ආයතනයකවත් අපෙන් බදු ගන්න. You can't take money if there is no law. But you know rates වරිපණම් වලට නගර සභාවලට පනතක් තියෙනවා. ඒතර ඒක පාර්ලිමේන්තුවෙන් සම්මත වෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. වරිපණම් ගන්න පුළුවන් by law act. There's a specific law to collect rates. Then other cases, if to get money, if you are collecting money from public, you have to get the approval from the parliament. Right. I think it's time for, I will stop at this point. But we will stop at this point and